All right, it's 6:30 and time for the meeting of the Murray City Municipal Council for February 5th, 2019. And I would like to welcome everyone, you brave souls, to come out on this freezing, cold, snowy evening, and also welcome to those of you who were pretty smart and are watching us via the internet. Let's see, first of all, we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance, and Kim Fong, our library director, is going to lead us. Thanks, Kim.
Please stand.
Yeah, there's 10 of them.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I counted 11. Yeah.
All right, I don't see any scouts here, so, okay, I won't worry about that. We have one set of minutes, and for council meeting for January 22nd, 2019, and if there are no comments or changes, I would accept a motion.
I'll move approval.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great, passes unanimously. Now we are at citizen comments, and this is the time when comments are directed to the council from the citizens and will be limited to 3 minutes. If you have a comment, step to the microphone, state your name and city of residence, and fill out the required form. So those of you who would like to make a comment, now's your time. Okay, forever hold your peace, or whatever they say. Right. Okay, now we're at the consent agenda. The first one is to consider confirmation of the mayor's appointment of Leslie Burns as hearing officer to fulfill a vacated term, which expires May 6th, 2021. And I'll take a motion.
I'll move we adopt the consent agenda as read.
I'll second that.
Great. Jennifer?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Great. Mayor, would you like to introduce Leslie if she or he is here?
Thank you. She was unable to be here this evening because she is in land use training in Midvale. She is a planner in Midvale. I hope you saw her resume. She's very qualified to be a hearing officer. So I think, but she regrets not being able to be here. But we're glad she's getting training. So
Great.
Thank you for your vote.
Sure. I also forgot to mention that all council members are present. And also, welcome, Mayor. This is your big night. So we are at business items, and the first one is presentation of Mayor Blair Camp's State of the City Address for 2019. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. I'll apologize in advance if I have a cough that comes and goes. If it happens to come during the presentation, I hope it goes quickly. But also, I just want to do a disclaimer. We had this meeting date set and this address set before the president changed his mind on when he was going to do his State of the Union address. So I hope this is more interesting. But and maybe interesting is not the right word. Well, I'd like to start this evening by saying good evening to all of you members of the City Council, our department heads, members of the public, business leaders, those of you who are joining us with live streaming and who may view this later, and our city employees. I appreciate the opportunity to present my State of the City address to you this evening. I'm grateful for the opportunity and proud to serve as the mayor and CEO of Murray City. And I have an exceptional staff here in Doug Hill, Jennifer Heaps, Tracy Walker, and Jade Paulson, and I express appreciation to them also this evening. I also wish to personally thank the members of the Murray City Council for your hard work and the time that you invest in performing the legislative functions of our Murray City government. Thank you for your service on the City Council. I also wish to express my gratitude this evening to the nearly 70 residents who volunteer to serve on one of our 11 boards and commissions, plus many others who volunteer in our parks and recreation programs for seniors and youth. These volunteers serve quietly and without fanfare, yet their impact for good is immeasurable. I agree with Coretta Scott King, who once said, "The greatness of a community is most accurately measured by the compassionate actions of its members." We are indebted to these volunteers who help make Murray City a great place. Last year, I began my State of the City address by saying, quote, "The state of the city is strong and sound, but not without its challenges." I will say that that is still the case. Throughout my address this evening, I will reference some portions of last year's State of the City message and provide some updates. Now, about 2 years ago, when I publicly declared that I would be a candidate for mayor, I stated in my announcement, quote, I love quoting myself, "I believe in continuous improvement, and I intend to constantly look for and identify ways that we can be better and more efficient." In the time since my term began, I have endeavored to live up to that declaration. I've asked my departments and divisions to continuously look for ways to improve efficiency and effectiveness in the delivery of our city services. I've taken the opportunity to make some changes this past year that I believe will have a positive impact on our efficiency, and I'll talk about some of those in this address as well. I recognize that change is not always comfortable for people, but I maintain that any organization must consider changes and make periodic adjustments to be healthy. Abraham Maslow once said, "In any given moment, we have two options: to step forward into growth or to step back into safety." As a city, let us step forward into growth. Murray City has outstanding department and division directors excuse me, who are knowledgeable, professional, and dedicated. We will provide a copy of the 2018 year-end summary report to the City Council after this address, and encourage you to review the many accomplishments of each department. We'd be here for a long time tonight if we were to review those, all of those, but I would like to give emphasis to a few of these noteworthy facts this evening. Our City Attorney's Office is tasked with ensuring that legal processes are followed in order to minimize the exposure of the city to liability and litigation. This includes areas of land use, planning, public safety matters, complex power department issues, criminal prosecution, civil litigation, records management, human resources matters, general risk, and others. No wonder you look tired, Gio. The Murray legal team is directed by our city attorney, G.L. Critchfield, who points out that their work cannot be measured by numbers, but rather their accomplishments are reflected not only in the numerous ordinances, resolutions, agreements, and other such documents that they draft and review, but also in the advice and counsel that they provide to the city. This evening, I want to once again acknowledge and thank our excellent Finance and Administration Department under the direction of Denise Steck. Excuse me. Denise, a certified public finance officer, is a seasoned veteran in the arena of public accounting and best practices, and we're very fortunate to have her leading this department. Once again this year, the Finance Department has prepared and provided an excellent comprehensive annual financial report, or CAFR, which was presented to the City Council. It's also available for public review on the city website. Our finance department received a clean, independent audit report and received the Certificate of Excellence in Financial Reporting from the Government Finance Officers Association. Also noteworthy is the new Citizens Guide to the Budget, developed by the Finance Department to educate our residents about the services the city provides, the cost of these services, and the source of city revenues. This guide is also available on the Murray City website. The Finance Department also played a major role in developing and implementing the citywide comprehensive compensation study focused on employee retention. I'll mention more about that later in this address. We have recently implemented organizational changes that have increased the responsibility of the Finance and Administration Department, including utility billing, the City Recorder Division, including purchasing, the City Treasurer, and Human Resources Division. I believe these changes will add to the efficiency and effectiveness of each of these divisions, contribute to continuous improvement, and include a financial savings. Our police department, under the leadership of Chief Craig Burnett, has continued to experience an increase in call volume related to the transient and unsheltered population. There have been efforts to focus police presence in areas that are frequented by these individuals, and directed patrol shifts have been used this year. These are extra shifts wherein officers dedicate their efforts exclusively to the homeless problem in Murray by identifying people, coordinating to clean up campsites, and serving warrants on wanted individuals. These cleanup details have been done in conjunction with our Police Community Services Division and the County Health Department. As your mayor, I once again call upon all residents of Murray to do your part in discouraging crime in our neighborhoods by installing security lights or leaving porch lights on, watching out for your neighbors, reporting suspicious activity to the police, and anything else that you can do in your neighborhoods to make them safe. I believe we can cut down on the crime if we'll be diligent in helping the police do their job. I also wish to acknowledge and thank our police officers for their appropriate and timely response to the recent gang-related shooting at Fashion Place Mall. This is an example of how our officers, without hesitation, put themselves in harm's way for us. I cannot overstate my gratitude that the Fashion Place incident resulted in no loss of life, no serious injuries, and minimal property damage. It could have been much worse. So much worse. Tonight, I would also like to recognize the Murray Crime Advocate Program, which has been in existence since 1996. Our two full-time victim advocates, Alyssa Black and Julie Johansson, do amazing work, mostly behind the scenes. In 2018, these women were able to provide personal advocacy services to over 1,900 victims of crime. Sadly, domestic violence contributed to approximately 55% of the caseload for the advocates. In addition to domestic violence, these advocates also assisted victims of sexual assault, elder abuse, child abuse, homicide, robbery, kidnapping, assault, stalking, DUI, traumatic deaths, threats, harassment, and suicide. Without the Victim Advocate Program, most of the victims of crime in Murray would not receive assistance or resources. So thank you, Alyssa and Julie, for the exceptional service you provide. I get to see them almost daily because their office is right around down the hall from ours, and I always like to tell them how much we appreciate their work. This past June, our longtime fire chief, Gil Rodriguez, retired, and I took the opportunity to appoint Deputy Chief John Harris as the new fire chief. I've literally known Chief Harris for his entire career, as I was the assistant chief in the fire department when John was hired in 1995. Chief Harris is a forward thinker, and I expect that he will be innovative in his approach to leadership in the fire department. In 2018, the fire department responded to over 6,000 emergency calls from our city's 3 fire stations. Nearly 5,000 of those were requests for emergency medical services. We offer state-of-the-art fire, paramedic, and rescue services to our residents, business, and visitors. Also in 2018, our fire department was utilized in 4 wildfire deployments, 2 in California and 2 separate deployments to the Pole Creek fire in central Utah. One of our teams working the Mendocino Complex fire was working on the task force with Draper City Battalion Chief Matt Burchett, who was killed in a fire line accident. We continue to mourn with the Draper Fire Department, but we are so grateful that our crews came home safely from each of these deployments. Our Parks and Recreation Department is directed by Kim Sorensen. The Murray City Park system continues to be a great asset and very popular in our community. The Park Center sold over 6,000 memberships, and the daily admissions total for the Park Center in 2018 was 42,306 individuals. The pool decks were replaced in both the leisure pool and the competition pool this past year. The daily admission totals to the outdoor pool was over 37,000. There were 11,712 participants in recreation programs, and we're very happy that the new pickleball courts were finally completed. It shouldn't have been that big of a project, but it was. They are very popular and very well utilized. Our cultural arts hosted a total of nearly 30,000 patrons and provided opportunities for 1,180 artists from both performing and visual arts, including the recent Murray Mural Project, which included 2,918 children between the ages of 6 and 18. The Fun Days Parade and activities were very popular again last year, as thousands lined the streets to see the parade. And the new chalk art contest was fun. It was very well received. An ongoing matter of concern is our park infrastructure. The capital improvement plan funds for the park will provide long overdue repairs and renovations, such as pavilion replacements. I appreciate the council approving the funding for the Parks and Recreation Master Plan. That master plan process is now underway and will continue throughout this year. We are looking forward to future dialogue based on the completed plan later this year. During this past year, the Murray Heritage Center took on a new identity and is now known as the Murray Senior Recreation Center. Once again, the center served nearly 11,000 meals during 2018 to our seniors. I don't know if we should let the secret out, but I'm told that many go there from around the valley because they like the food better than in the county centers, but I don't know. At the end of 2018, the center had 1,518 registered participants. We had 114 volunteers who assisted in providing programs and services. These volunteers donated approximately 7,300 hours of service to the center. That equates to a value of approximately $73,000 in wages that we didn't have to fund. Our Murray Library, under the direction of Kim Fong, continues to maintain its vision of being, quote, your friendly hometown library. In 2018, the library was awarded 2 accolades, the first being a quality library certification from the Utah State Library. The other was a 4-star library designation from Library Journal, which compared the Murray Library with other libraries nationally. We appreciate the support of the City Council in approving the mill levy increase for the library this current budget year, which will go a long way in helping us plan and prepare for a new library in the future. The Murray City Power Department, under the direction of General Manager Blaine Hackey, continues to operate effectively and competently. The Power Fund is in a favorable financial condition, and there is currently no outstanding bond debt. Our Power Department is excited to continue to pursue and invest in power projects that add to the reliability of our system. We continue to have interest in the SMR, or Small Modular Reactor, project and are exploring options for participation in a large-scale solar project. We're committed to increasing the amount of green energy in our portfolio. From the perspective of the General Manager, the top 5 significant successes of the Power Department for the last year would be: 1, the financial stability and health of the department; 2, improved reliability of delivered energy. This includes a concerted, controlled effort to maintain tree clearances from the distribution lines and service the street trees. Our power is on 99.9886% of the time. Have to look at you, Brett, and that's important for our residents and businesses. 3, keeping the costs of operation, maintenance, and capital expense down while maintaining a lean workforce. 4 is keeping on top of the NERC reliability requirements, NERC meaning North American Electric Reliability Corporation. And 5, working toward a solar rooftop rate while collaborating with customers and vendors. Now, I want to re-emphasize what I've stated before, and that is, it's important to note that all residents of Murray benefit from the city-owned utility, even those who are not receiving electricity from Murray Power. The Power Department pays an annual dividend to the City General Fund, provides trimming of street trees, and subsidizes street lighting in the entire city, which is a benefit to all residents. The Murray City Director of Public Works is Danny Astle. Public Works includes engineering, fleet, streets and solid waste, stormwater, sewer, and water distribution. We're pleased to report that engineering was successful in receiving 2 transportation choice grants, including an additional $500,000 for the Hanover Street Extension Project and an additional $731,000 for the East Vine Street Project. The Streets Division used 4,673 tons of asphalt in last year in 11 overlay projects, completed 5 residential street rebuilds, complete rebuilds, and mastic or slurry sealed 45 city streets. Street maintenance continues to be a challenge due to funding constraints, but our streets personnel have found ways to stretch the available dollars to deliver the most bang for the buck. And just a fun fact, our crews filled 641 potholes in 2018. The Drinking Water Source Protection Plan update was completed this year. Clean water is a high priority for our water department, and they work hard to meet or exceed all state and federal regulations pertaining to quality drinking water. They sampled all active sources in April and October in accordance with the EPA's unregulated contaminant monitoring rule. In addition, they sampled 45 bacterial sites every month with no positive samples or rechecks. The recent snowstorms, and looks like we're having another one tonight, serve as a reminder of the exceptional service provided by our crews in removing snow from our public streets. I appreciate their efforts in making our streets safer, even though occasionally we hear from someone whose driveway may have gotten a little bit of snow on it. But we try and take care of those if we can. But we have exceptional snow removal in Murray. Our Department of Information Technology, or IT, is led by Robert White. Although Rob was appointed as the director of IT a few months ago, he is a seasoned veteran of Murray City with more than 21 years. As a result of an organizational change, our IT department now includes the Geographical Systems Division, or GIS. GIS is an invaluable resource used for mapping throughout the city for uses such as public safety, power lines, public utilities such as water and sewer lines, streets, and many other uses on a daily basis. When you go to our website and you look at the maps, those are all produced by our GIS department, our division. The IT department provides technical support for every department in Murray City, plus the city council. Our entire city literally depends on IT support to keep city operations functioning. Throughout the last year, they have continued to work on the conversion for the Munis software system for business licensing, permits, and planning and zoning. The utility billing system is the last module to be implemented, and this will take place over the next several months. New to the Murray City team is our recently hired Director of Community and Economic Development, Melinda Greenwood. Melinda oversees the planning and building divisions, plus business licensing, code enforcement, and the redevelopment agency issues. The community, I'm sorry, I still stumble over that name every time. The Community and Economic Development Department is extremely active and hardworking with new developments, both residential and commercial, throughout the city. There was a slight increase in the number of licensed businesses in Murray in 2018, with a total of 3,976, up 25 over the previous year. Our City Justice Court is presided over by Judge Paul Thompson. It continues to operate well, although not without its challenges. The caseload of the court has been declining over the past several years, but appears to have leveled off with a slight increase in traffic and misdemeanor cases in 2018. The court has taken several measures to reduce costs. In addition to a paperless system, the court has also arranged court times and appearance requirements to increase efficiency. In addition, they're working with the Adult Detention Center to conduct video processes where feasible to reduce the number of transports of inmates. Last month, our court administrator, Mike Williams, retired after 40 years of court experience. Mike will be missed. But with his departure, we're taking advantage of the opportunity to implement some organizational changes in the court structure that will result in some savings to the city. Last year in the State of the City address, I mentioned that the employee compensation study approved by the City Council was underway. That study was comprehensive and took hundreds of hours to complete and implement. I'm pleased to note this evening that the study and its implementation were completed just prior to the start of our current budget year and addressed the compensation concerns of our police officers, firefighters, and employees in every department of Murray City, and included a new step plan for employees. I want to express great appreciation to department directors, finance personnel, human resource personnel, and others who worked so hard to make this a reality. But especially I extend gratitude to the City Council for having the courage and political will to fund the new step plan, even though it required a moderate tax increase to do so. We have seen an increase in morale across all departments. I frequently receive comments of appreciation from employees, and I pass those expressions of gratitude on to the City Council this evening. I'm happy to note that our new headquarters fire station is now under construction at the corner of 4800 South and Box Elder Street. This building will house fire administration, fire prevention, and emergency response personnel, and it's anticipated that the building will be completed in November. With the relocation of the fire department, we will be able to extend Hanover Street in preparation for the construction of the new City Hall, on which we anticipate construction to begin in 2020. An architect and general contractor have been selected for the City Hall project, and we will soon have conceptual drawings to take to the public. I'm very excited underlined very, excited to have construction activity taking place in this underutilized section of our city. I vow to advocate for new projects in this area, particularly private sector development. The renovation of the city-owned Murray Theater is front and center due to the awarding of $3.6 million over the next 2 years in TRCC, or TRAC funds from Salt Lake County. TRCC stands for Tourism, Recreation, Cultural, and Convention Tax. Because this is a matching grant, some challenging decisions will need to be made regarding the source of matching funds. We do feel fortunate that we've been awarded these funds in a very competitive and crowded field of applicants. I'd like to take just a minute now and follow up on a few matters from last year's State of the City address. I mentioned my intent to increase our transparency by live streaming our Planning Commission meetings, and we have done that. We began recording and streaming those meetings starting with the July 5th, 2018 meeting. In addition to the live stream, these meetings are available to view from the video archive on the city website alongside the city council meetings. I also mentioned my support of a more walkable and rideable community. We have added the bicycle lanes that we mentioned last year to 700 West from 5400 South to Winchester Street. And we continue the task of adding sidewalks and bike lanes on East Vine Street over the next 2 years. I'm extremely pleased to note the completion of the canal trail improvements from Fontainebleau to Wheeler Farm. This has become a very popular recreation resource, especially for the residents of that area. And I appreciate the great job that our Parks and Public Works employees have done in overseeing construction and now maintenance of this fabulous resource. Last year, I announced my intent to bring the Green Bike program to Murray City, particularly around transit stops, Fashion Place Mall, and Intermountain Medical Center. We've been working with Green Bike on costs and feasibility and have developed a concept plan. A small but interesting development has been the introduction of other modes of alternate transportation, such as electric scooters and electric bicycles. At present, we have At present, we have not come to a conclusion on the best direction to proceed, but we'll continue to evaluate options and explore possible funding. Also, last year, I mentioned my intent to roll out a Murray City Adopt a Street program to enable organizations, businesses, and individuals to volunteer to help maintain and beautify the streets of Murray. It has taken quite a few months to work through legal and logistical issues relating to this program, but I'm happy to note that the policies and procedures have now been ironed out and the program is ready to go this spring. It will be implemented through the Public Works Department, and details can be found on our city website under Adopt a Roadway. As I mentioned before, I want Murray to be a place we can all be proud to call home. Sorry, I'm really dry tonight. My wife, who's here tonight, may say I'm dry all the time, but before concluding this evening, I want to take a moment to mention the tragedy that occurred here in our community on November 19th, 2018. Just before 7:30 in the morning, our firefighters and police officers responded to a house fire at 5729 South 7th West. First, police officers who were nearby, then firefighters arrived to find the home fully engulfed in flames. Entrance into the home was literally impossible. A 7-year-old girl, a student at Viewmont Elementary, and her grandmother were unable to escape and tragically died in the fire. The subsequent investigation determined the fire to be an accidental tragedy relating to electrical overload and resistance heating. A heartbreaking event like this has a distressing and saddening effect on all of us, including, if not especially, our first responders. For me, it brings into focus and perspective the things that really are important. I hope we can use this and other events to help us direct our efforts on things that matter. Excuse me. Things that matter most to us, our families, our neighbors, and our community. Now, maybe it's the old fire chief in me, but I encourage each one of you to take the time to evaluate the safety of your own homes and plan and prepare for, but mostly prevent these types of tragedies. This evening, I wish to reaffirm that the state of Murray City is strong and sound. However, I note that the state legislature is in session even as I speak. And there are some on the Hill who are proponents of legislation that could be extremely detrimental to the financial stability of Murray City. We are working diligently to identify and oppose those bills that would harm our city. I strongly encourage each of you to find out who represents your district in the legislature and ask them where they stand on any legislation that threatens the local authorities of cities. In conclusion tonight, I want to highlight 5 areas of priority for the coming year. 1, eliminate or greatly reduce empty commercial buildings in Murray City through proactive engagement with property owners through our Community and Economic Development Department. 2nd, proactively advocate for new development in the Murray City Center District to reverse the disinvestment in that area over the past many years, working closely with the Redevelopment Agency Board of Directors. 3rd, work closely with the Parks and Recreation Department, specifically the Cultural Arts Division and the Finance and Administration Department, as well as the City Council, to address funding for the Murray Theater renovation. 4, continue to improve in the areas of social media use and technology in our city. And 5, I remain fully committed to the concept of continuous improvement, and I will continue to challenge my department directors to seek for additional improvement wherever possible. I recognize that the excuse me. I recognize that the funds we expend are taxpayer dollars. At our public meetings during the budget process last year, I was approached by some residents who said that they recognize the need to fairly compensate our employees and that it costs a lot to provide city services, but implored us to cut costs and be more efficient wherever possible. I think that's a very reasonable request. The American author and motivational speaker Tony Robbins said, "I don't worry about maintaining the quality of my life because every day I work on improving it." Tonight I borrow that quote from Mr. Robbins and tweak it just a little by saying, I don't worry about maintaining the quality of Murray City because every day I work on improving it. Remember our 2 options, to step forward into growth or to step back into safety. We will step forward into growth. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Camp. We appreciate your sage advice and we appreciate you, so thank you. All right, now we have the mayor's report and questions. I think you just gave quite a report. Do you have anything else to add?
I do have a couple things to add, I'm sorry, but just after I got through gushing about the canal trail and how great it is, and it is, I need to report that the trail is currently closed at 6400 South due to bridge replacement, and it will open the last week of February. So those of you that walk through that area, we're having to replace the culvert at 6400 South for the canal, and so it will be closed right there through the last week of this month. Also, I reported last time that the library was going to be having the Harry Potter extravaganza. It occurred on Saturday at the library, and just want to say that it was an enormous success. Kim Fong has estimated about 300 people were in attendance for that. And she also said that after it was over, poof, they disappeared. And finally, the Fix a Leak Week is scheduled for March 18th through 24th. And this is an opportunity for the water department to educate the public and elementary school students about water conservation. So we'll look forward to that. So that's all I have tonight.
All right. Are there any questions from the council for the mayor?
Nope, just a big thank you for that. It was an awesome report and helped us reminisce on how wonderful Murray is. Thanks.
Thanks.
All right. With that, we'll be adjourned. Thank you all for attending.